innovation is accelerating and will continue accelerating. And this is the only way for you to stay relevant and for you to be able to protect your customers appropriately. We had such a great day yesterday at the Acronis Partner Day. Most of you I see were there. It was really remarkable. We went through a lot of information, but also a lot of fun going to Ferrari Land. Things like roadmap, economics, how to improve your margins. Really, it was very, very packed. And if you haven't been there, if you weren't yesterday, please make it next year. It's worth your while. Now, one thing that I told you yesterday is that I was not going to talk about what our strategic vision for the MSP market is yesterday, that I was going to reserve that for today. So here it is. And you might be asking yourself, why Acronis needs a vision of the MSP market? Why should I care about Acronis' vision for the MSP market? So I'll tell you now why we need a vision for the MSP market, and then at the end, I will try to respond why you should care about our vision for the MSP market. Now, why do we need a vision for the MSP market? And the reality is we need a vision because the world is changing so rapidly. The world is changing so rapidly, and in the next 30 minutes, or 28 now, I will try to convince you that there is a crisis looming, and that there is an opportunity associated with that crisis, and that there is a way for each of you to enjoy the profits by helping to solve that crisis. Now, I'm going to have 3 guests that will help me make that point. Each of them is an expert in his area, and they will help me build the explanation of the challenges we're facing. You know that the world, the innovation pace is accelerating. You feel it every day. You've been feeling it for the last 24 months, where concepts that we consider were in the future very, very quickly from one day to the next became a reality. And now we're all talking about AI all the time. But really the things that came to happen a few years ago with large language models, we thought those things were ahead of us, I don't know, we all thought, we all read about them in science fiction books, or we had stopped thinking about them because they were just things that we talked about them in the 80s and they haven't happened. And so, but from one day to the other, they started happening and affecting all our lives. And so my take here is not that the innovation is moving fast, but it's actually accelerating. And so that creates a lot of challenges. We're going to talk about those, and also a lot of opportunities. Now, let me say something, because you might say, okay, right, I mean, there's obviously a lot of innovation, it's accelerating. How do you see that? And we see that everywhere, but really very much so in the growth of the tangible things that we can measure. So there's a lot of growth going on all around us. And these numbers here might look surprising. Like we see the economy growing up until 2030 for about 21%. Now, if you look at the infrastructure supporting that economy, it's growing so much faster, so much faster. And to be honest, I was skeptic about these numbers at first. And by the way, I'm going to show a lot of numbers. All of these numbers that I'm going to show, these and others during the presentation, they're all backed up by references, and we are happy to share all the references with you. But I was really skeptic about these numbers because they're impressive. I mean, 10 times increase in power use. almost 120% in endpoints. I thought that endpoints actually were declining. No, they're not. At the same time, obviously, a lot is going to the cloud, so data centers are exploding. And the server market, it's also growing. Everything, the whole IT infrastructure is growing much, much faster than the economy. Now, my first question was, is this all large language models? Is this all like just supporting the explosion in AI use? And yeah, there is some upside about that. So the use of AI is increasing, at an amazing pace, 6.4 times up until 2030. But really, the digital transformation of the companies is actually becoming a reality. 3 times more companies will have transformed by 2030. IoT devices, robots, 5.5 times increase. And also still, SaaS applications, the use of applications from the cloud, is still growing very, very rapidly, 2.5 times in just a few years. So what does this all mean? It's definitely an unprecedented growth in the digital footprint, in the overall use of technologies to run our life, our businesses. And so my take here is this is just by itself a very, very challenging environment to deal with. It's much, much more complex than the one that we are used to, than the one that we have lived our whole life with, the one that we were protecting for our customers. But don't take it from me. Let me invite my first guest here, who is an expert in resolving these kind of issues for his customers. So please help me bring to the stage Tate Cover, President and CEO of Century Computing. Tate, please come on.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.
Hi. Good morning. You're going to hear from a lot of vendors today, a lot of experts. I'm one of you. I'm an MSP. So I'm an MSP out of Seattle. MSP is hard. I think we all know it. I think 25 years ago, MSP meant you were more like an auto mechanic, right? You're fixing computers, you're maybe installing servers and fixing them, and your security meant Symantec antivirus and Barracuda email filters, right? Supporting Exchange servers. Then we took everything and we moved it up to the cloud. We created these small targets, or these big giant targets, meaning but very few of them. And so now everything is just so much more complex. I think so much of it is behind the scenes now. It's hard for us to convince our customers sometimes of the work we're doing, or get the value out of it, right? We have added all this different cybersecurity product in order to protect our customers, and then we have to monetize that. We have this big problem right now, as you all know, of finding the right people, the right talent to help us. I know we're all going to use AI to try to save labor, to figure out these mundane tasks, but then we need people who are skilled at, account management, client services, security analytics, VCIO, like trying to help these clients along this journey. Those are expensive people, and we're not going to have a lot of them. So we can look at outsourcing them. I think for me, I look for product. I want people, and for me, and product to help us grow, help us solve problems. I'm here with Acronis because they listen. I've been so impressed in I think over only a year I've been a partner. We actually won the new partner award last night. I give them ideas and they execute on them. And I think you won't find that with other vendors. I've been doing this for 25 years and I've never had a partnership quite like that. I get to work with them all the time on new solutions, integrations. I think one reason we're here, I only go to conferences typically to go to the vendor pavilion. I want to find out what's new, what can help us do our job. I find interesting people and conversations. We get to try a lot of things. I think much to the chagrin of my COO, I like to test things all the time. But I love that, Oleg was talking yesterday, if you were here, about how easy integrations will be with the newer version of the Acronis stack, right? And so if we can take these products that we love and easily get them into one ecosystem, it's going to help all of us. Like right now, I'm focused on SaaS solutions. I'm focused on Zero Trust. I'm obviously focused on security, analytics, data, trying to convince customers of what we're doing, what our value is, and how we can make their companies more productive and valuable. So, the struggle is real. There are solutions to help us along this journey. Find them, talk to Acronis. I think you'd be very interested. I think it's worth your while. I think that's all I have to say. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Tate. And yeah, I mean, in the end, we are all going to be dealing with a lot more complexity. And this complexity really, in the end, what incorporates right under it is a larger attack surface. Because, I mean, when we go to the cloud, we look at digital transformation solutions from our customers, really, they're putting much more of their business out there. And so the attack surface keeps increasing, and together with AI and all the benefits of it, obviously, we see an accelerated pace of attacks. And I was talking with a very, very smart person a few weeks ago, that is not from the industry. And he was telling me, look, I understand you guys always talk about all these security issues here, cybersecurity, ransomware here, malware attacks here, there, all this money that the world is losing because of cybersecurity attacks. Come on, you guys are just doing that to scare us into buying your products. Maybe, not really. And so, let me bring to the stage now my second guest to tell you a little bit about what's coming from a cybersecurity point of view. What do we need to get ready for? Because it's actually pretty scary. Kevin Reed, our CISO at Acronis and the head of our threat research unit.
Thank you, Ezekiel. Thank you, everyone. Good to be here. I'm not here to scare you. Right? Isn't it enough? But to give you a perspective of a few things that will happen. 5 things only. The first one, the majority of attackers are after data, your customers' data. The data moves to cloud. So do attackers. Believe it or not, cloud on average is more, any SaaS, it's not because we do cloud. It's any SaaS provider, any cloud provider on average would be more secure than on-prem setup would ever be. The reason for that is that whenever you implement a new security feature in a SaaS and online service, it's immediately available to all your customers. So there is no this patching cycle that takes months and years. So cloud is more secure. However, attackers are not stupid, so they try to invent new ways to break in. And as we say now, amateurs hug, but professionals log in. So identity is going to become a very big problem, a massive one. And this is, for example, one of the reasons why at Acronis we recently launched dark web monitoring for leaked credentials. And we are making, I think, I'm getting those of you who work with us already receive a notification that we are making two-factor authentication mandatory for all service providers. So identity and data leaks from the cloud is going to be #1 problem. The second one, physical and virtual and IoT devices. And of course you would say, yeah, we heard that, right? And I say that when you say there is an IoT device, I say there is no such. There's only an old Linux box with no patches, no security measures, and it's never updated. And with a Linux kernel from, I don't know, 1989 or whatever. We did a research recently on the IoT device security. And what we found, was that if you try to exploit it, there are virtually no modern measures that would protect you. There is no ASLR, there is no NX, there are no stack canaries. So basically, if you're trying to exploit an IoT device, that is like 1995. You just like do just one long string and it breaks up. And again, they're never updated. And they manage the physical world. So this is very compelling to attack them. And of course, you can jump from physical to virtual and then back to physical. We had, again, recently research when you can open doors over the internet, and I liked it. You heard it all. So I'm not even going to talk much about that. AI is being used, and everybody is saying, like, oh, AI is being, scary AI is being used by malware authors. Malware is software, so of course it's being used by malware authors, because every software engineer, we heard it yesterday from our guest at the Acronis Partner Day, that of course every software developer is using AI now, Copilot or ChatGPT or whatever, to help them develop. So do malware authors. But what's going to happen is, and I've been talking to a few startups in this area, that they are working on automated, independent, continuous penetration testing. So basically, a machine that would persistently and consistently trying to attack a target network. Never making errors, learning from errors, and all that. And I think those particular startups may or may not succeed in the next couple of years, but it's definitely going to happen in the years to come. Compliance. That's an unusual topic, I think, like not something that you would classify as cyber threat. However, if you think about it, we know that there are more and more and more, and we know at Acronis very well because we are a global company, more regulations are coming up. Some of them are contradictory. Try to marry PCI DSS with privacy regulations in Argentina. And it's one problem. And the other problem is that more and more responsibilities come with that, and also sometimes this is personal responsibility of the CIO, CISO, CEO, or the board. And so as a security engineer or as a CISO, I must start thinking, why would I do that and not gardening? Which then creates a problem. We are already short of people in this industry, and I think this will just exaggerate this problem. So compliance risk is unusual, but a very real thing. And finally, quantum computing. So I read, as I was preparing for this talk, I read the Wikipedia entry for Shor algorithm. How many of you heard of the Shor algorithm? Anyone? Okay, let me do a quick thing for you. Shor algorithm is one of the few known quantum algorithms with compelling potential applications and strong evidence of superpolynomial speedup compared to best-known classical non-quantum algorithms. What does it mean? Compelling applications are RSA and ECDSA. There's the two algorithms that are the foundations for TLS. So the whole HTTPS, the whole encryption on the internet. That's the compelling application. Superpolynomial speedup means that something that would take trillions of years with the classic computing would take a couple of minutes on a quantum one. That's the polynomial speedup. And so when and if large enough quantum computers will happen, they will destroy the modern encryption. We are working on developing new algorithms that are post-quantum and quantum resistant, but we are not there yet, not entirely. And so that is going to be, when it happens, this is going to be something to be very concerned about, and I think you need to start thinking about that now. Those were the 5 things, and then back to Easy. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. So when we look at this scenario, we see more complexity, we see more attacks going on, and who will be there to protect all the IT infrastructure out there, all that new and existing IT infrastructure in the market, in the wild. Who's going to be there? And the reality is that we as a society, we face a huge amount of shortage of IT staff to deal with that. So the expected shortage by 2030 is 85 million professionals. That is huge and has a huge impact in the world economy. We're talking about trillions of dollars of potential losses because of this lack of staff ready to protect all the IT infrastructure that is already existing and that is coming in the next few years, which is huge amounts. So already, small and medium enterprises, as you know, as you experience, are actually outsourcing all their IT infrastructure at a very, very fast pace. They just cannot deal with it. They cannot find the people to deal with all this complexity. So obviously, you guys are seizing this opportunity as much as you want, as you can, with the resources you have. But I would say you also are finding the same challenges, recruiting, maintaining, keeping this IT staff that you need in order to serve these new customers, the existing customers with more needs, with more and more complex needs. And so let me invite our last guest, Philipp Rosler, former Vice Chancellor of Germany, to see what governments are doing to help us deal with this IT shortage. Philipp. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Philipp, and I couldn't agree more to what was just said from CEO of Acronis, Ezekiel. 85 million IT experts are missing soon in the global economy. 85 million, that's pretty much the same number of citizens we do have in Germany. But certainly, it's a global challenge, it's a global issue. And believe it or not, even some governments had realized that they have to address this challenge on one way or another. So they started in the US with some training at MIT to bring up more students, more universities, to foster natural science, computer science, you name it. We have seen it in Singapore. They even train older workers in IT so that they can shift into this new industry for them. So it could be a chance for former politicians, but at the same time, we see a lot of things starting with workforce in the schools. In Europe, they try to foster natural science, mathematics in the schools. Even the government in Germany is doing something reasonable, and they try to bring in more experts from outside, which does not automatically produce more IT experts, but try to address this challenge domestically. The same is ongoing in the UAE. But whatever will happen, it's not nearly enough. We cannot address this shortage only by education. We need something more. And as Ezekiel already mentioned, the problem is bigger with the smaller companies, of course. If a big conglomerate has 100 IT experts, and if one is missing, so what? But the SMEs, they are facing the challenge of 85 million experts missing by 2030. And so the only solution for the SMEs globally are the MSPs, of course. They will need you, even more than as of now. So you have to address it. You have to help them. They trust you. And the only way to address this on your way is even more focusing on automatization, integration, being fast and agile. We say in the era of the fourth industrial revolution, not the big fish is eating the small ones, but the fast, the slow fish. And you are the small, but agile and fast fishes in this ocean. And the SMEs, they rely on you. And that's the message. You have to deliver even more in the future. And you are not alone. You have some partners like Acronis. There are some others around, but not as good as Acronis. And they focus on automatization, integration, so that they can serve you and you can serve the SMEs. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip. And yeah, I mean, I think my take is some governments are doing something, but don't expect them to solve your problems. And so I hope by now we made the case that there is a big challenge brewing up and facing the world economy. And how we're going to deal with that is actually an unknown at this point. It's a huge challenge. And so our vision at Acronis is that the future is MSP. This is basically why the company changed completely, 100%, its strategy, its product, its go-to-market, everything. We changed it completely, our financial model, to be MSP-centric. Because for us, the future is MSP. And I think the future of the world is MSP. The future, at least, of the SME IT is the MSP. There is no other way. There is no other way, and that's why it's expected that there's going to be twice as many MSPs in the world as there is today by 2030. Now, what is the MSP of tomorrow, the MSP of 2030 going to look like in order to be able to satisfy the needs of that market? So you're going to have to meet the challenges of like a much more complex infrastructure. You're going to have to be able to protect your customers from more sophisticated attacks on a larger surface. And you're going to have to do that with limited resources. How do you do that? So the way we see it, the MSP by 2030 is going to be a company that will maximize the technician capacity. And so if your technician today is managing 200 workloads, it will have to manage 3 times that by 2030. And we talked yesterday at the Acronis Partner Day from a profitability point of view, how to increase the number of workloads per technician. But here is a little bit more critical. This is a life or death situation. If you do not increase the capacity of your technicians, you're just going to be left behind. You need to stay ahead of cyber threats. There's no other way around it, right? I mean, you cannot just wait for things to happen. You need to be constantly adapting yourself to address new vectors of attack. That is mandatory for you, for your customers, to manage your own risk as a company. You need to build resiliency, and this is not 2030, this is today. Your customers need you to protect them. But protection doesn't mean just to be able to detect an attack and try to prevent the effects of that attack. You need to be ready to survive that attack. And so if you look at new frameworks of security, they all include, okay, so how do you recover? Just detection prevention, that's not enough. You need to be able to recover. And let me tell you some statistics about that. Only 30% of SME IT infrastructure is backed up. Only 30%. That is not only a huge amount of risk, but also a huge opportunity. And finally, you will have to optimize your operations because, like Tate was telling us, everything in your operation, it's going to have to deal with a much larger demand. And so you're going to have to optimize the way that you do things internally to support that demand. And so why, now let me try to answer the why you should be listening to Acronis. And because, I mean, not Acronis, but the vendors that support you, that enable your work, we will have to provide you with the right tools. And this is our mission as a company, to provide you with the right tools to get there, to get to 2030 in the way that you need to be in order to satisfy that demand and in order to get the profits associated with that opportunity. And so definitely automation, how to make things faster, more efficient, automated. AI obviously not just for the automation part, obviously that's going to be powered by AI, but also to ensure that we reduce that gap in IT staff. How do we do that? Not just by automating, but allowing people that are not necessarily experts, for example, in cybersecurity, to deal with cybersecurity issues. So using AI to assist you, to assist your technician to deal with complex issues that maybe he's not necessarily prepared for. Now, at the same time, without a platform approach, without native integration of all the different tools, not only we're going to have a much more difficult time to gain those efficiencies that we need in order to satisfy the demand, because we're going to have to deal with multiple solutions, point solutions, one for each different part of the security posture, but also because you need to make sure that you don't have holes in the middle between those solutions. And finally, your approach will have to be one of continuous learning, because you need to stay ahead of the curve, because, like we said before, innovation is accelerating and will continue accelerating. And this is the only way for you to stay relevant and for you to be able to protect your customers appropriately. So, let me finish with this thought. This is an amazing time that we're living in. Very challenging. Will get more challenging as we continue during this path towards 2030. But this is an amazing opportunity. This is just a change in the world that will create a lot of opportunity. And for us, the future is MSP, is for you to seize this opportunity and to profit from it. And we're here to support you. So please, go to our sessions, go to our booth, talk with our people to see how we can make your life easier, how we can support you in this path towards the 2030 MSP. Thank you very much.